Show's holiday edition. Today we'll do some reading, some Christmas story readings. So it's always great to hear about a Christmas story that melts your heart. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the reading as well as a little bit of Christmas music. And we hope that this season for you is joyous. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads, and Mamma in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out of the lawn there arose much a clatter, I sprung from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Dunder and Blixen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away all, as dry leaves before the wild hurricane fly when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys was flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk. And laying his finger aside on his nose, and giving a nod up the chimney, he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Why, Santa Claus was late. Do you remember the Christmas when Santa Claus was very late? You may not have known the reason for this, so I will tell you. He actually started out very early that year so that everyone might have their presents on Christmas Day. The first place he stopped was on the roof of a large house. Taking the big pack from his sleigh, he disappeared down the chimney. But no sooner was he out of sight than the queerest little creatures appeared. They came from behind the blinds, jumped to the roof from under the eaves, and even emerged out of the waterspout. These creatures wore green jackets and red hoods, drawn tightly about their little round faces. Their legs and pointed feet were covered with red like leggings. They were the goblins dressed for winter. The goblins looked through the bags on Santa's sleigh. One said, "Not a thing for us." "There weren't any last year or the year before that," said another. "Well, we'll have something this year," said one goblin, hopping onto the horns of a reindeer. "Let's take his sleigh and help ourselves." They scrambled onto the sleigh, onto the backs of their reindeer, and even onto their horns. With their pointed shoes, they poked the reindeer, and off they went like the wind, into the valley, over the mountains, and into the woods to the house where the goblins held their meetings. The goblins jumped to the ground and tied the head reindeer to a tree. Then you should have seen them unload the sleigh. Books were tossed one way and dolls another until the ground was strewn with tops, balls, baby carts, and all sorts of toys. When they came to the oranges and candy, they called out, "Here are the good things." Quickly they scampered into the house, placing the treats on the table, which they soon filled with all the nice things Santa had packed for the children. By and by, the goblins inside the house heard a loud noise. When they went to the door, a train of toys cars rushed by, filled with goblins, and bumped into a tree, sending goblins flying in all directions. Another group of goblins perched on a rocking horse, while others gathered around a picture book, looking at it with great interest. Come in and eat the good things before Santa Claus finds us, the goblins in the house called. Everything was dropped, and all the goblins ran inside. They were seated around the table just tasting the nice things when a tap was heard on the door. A fairy entered. Wait, she said, holding up her wand, and every goblin stood up. Do you know, the fairy said to them, that you will cause a great deal of sorrow in the world by taking Santa Claus's sleigh and eating all the candy, nuts, and other things you've taken? Children are waiting for their Christmas, and you will spoil it unless you put everything back in the sleigh just as you found it and return it to Santa Claus. You are always boasting that you help make people happy, and here you are doing the very thing that will make thousands unhappy. The goblins looked at each other. Then one said, I think the fairy is right. Isn't it Santa who will suffer? It's the children, said another. We never thought of that, added a goblin. We'll put everything back. How they worked. They had to pick up all the toys they had thrown on the ground and carry all the fruit, candy, and nuts back from the table. It was midnight by the time they had finished. Just as they were untying the reindeer, Santa came through the woods. He was out of breath, for he had been running, following the tracks of the reindeer. That was how he found them. When the goblins saw him, they ran into the house as fast as they could and hid. So this is the trouble, Santa said to himself. They wanted Christmas presents. I'll train next year to make something they will like. My, explained, looking at his watch, I shall be later than ever this year. He picked up the reins and off they flew. And that is why Santa was late. Wow, what a story. This has been an episode of Dragon Gray's Variety Show Holiday Edition. Hope you enjoyed the reading and the music. Wishing you guys a very, very Merry Christmas. Check it out on Spotify and the next episode coming soon.